Hey guys, it's Matt. This is not a chapter presentation. Came across something which I find to be shocking, so I'm going to ask you to comment. Am I losing it? Or let me just get right to the point. I'm doing this on the fly. There'll be no presentation value or polish in the way this is presented. It's just about getting out the information. So what happened was I was researching some stuff about JFK because I'm presenting in a chapter coming up the JFK to Abe Lincoln synchronicities, impossible coincidences. We're up to 50. 50 big ones. There are many more, but 50 big ones, which basically to me is a mathematical impossibility, but that's for that chapter, not for this video. So I'm doing this research and, some just looking at all these different bits of information, and I get down here, which gives a timeline, Warren Commission version of events, Warren Commission version of events, November 22nd. Go down here, and I see this. In 1978, an investigation by the House of Representatives Select Committee on Assassinations concludes fourth shot was fired from grassy knoll. In other words, Oswald didn't act alone. What? Okay, this goes against everything I've ever heard, everything I've ever learned. Isn't the point of making fun of us conspiracy theorists? Saying that other things were involved, and I've argued with my own father 10 times. He just says, yeah, Oswald did it. That's the official story, and I stick to the official story. This says, in other words, Oswald didn't act alone. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to believe this. So I go find this 1978 House of Representatives Select Committee. First, I find this. JFK Assassination Records, National Archives, archives.gov. Okay. Findings of the Select Committee on Assassination. This was a joint committee looking at President Kennedy and looking at MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. That assassination. Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots. Again, I'm not prepared to do this. Sorry. Let me just get you the information. It won't be polished. Acoustical evidence establishes a high probability that 2 gunmen fired at President John F. Kennedy. This is the official story. What? Am I losing it, guys? I'm just completely floored. I called Greg immediately, and I'm like, Greg, am I losing it? High probability. The official story says, yeah, we're pretty sure there were 2 gunmen. What? What happened to the planet Earth, and how do I get back to it? Guys, if I'm losing it, tell me. Maybe I'm losing it. Let's see. Okay. The committee believes, on the basis of the evidence available to it, that President John F. Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. What? Isn't the whole point of making fun of us conspiracy theorists that Oswald was alone, and the whole point of the CIA coming up with the term conspiracy was to belittle people that thought there were other actors involved in the JFK assassination? I mean, okay, so then I go over to Wikipedia that has more information about this committee. United States House Select Committee on Assassinations, 1976, to investigate the assassinations of JFK and MLK. Okay, let's see. Let's go down to the formation, members of the council, investigations. Where's the good stuff here? Conclusions, general conclusions. Blah, blah, blah. Consideration of the possibility of a conspiracy in each case. Insufficient consideration. The committee, in its report, also made recommendations for legislative and administrative improvements. All right, let's keep going. Conclusions regarding the Kennedy assassination. 1979 report. Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots at Kennedy. The second shot and the third shot Oswald fired struck the president. The third shot killed the president. All right? To me, that's the official story. That's the official story. This is from the other article, but they carried it forth here in Wikipedia. Scientific acoustical evidence establishes a high probability that at least 2 gunmen fired at the president. Other scientific evidence does not preclude the possibility of two gunmen firing at the president. So the acoustical says high probability of two gunmen, and the other evidence says there might be two. That's what it's saying here. Scientific evidence negates some of the specific conspiracy allegations. Well, which ones? The committee believes, on the basis of the evidence available to it, that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. Was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. So this is giving merit to everything we've ever said. What? The committee was unable to identify the other gunman. Really? I think we would have heard about that. Or the extent of the conspiracy. It says Soviet government was not involved. We don't think the Cuban government was involved. The anti-Castro groups were not involved. Blah blah blah. Organized crime. All the fingers that the conspiracy theorists pointed at, like Castro, for example, or the mob. They're saying here, though, that those we have no evidence any of those were involved. The committee further concluded that it was probable that 4 shots were fired. The 4th shot came from an assassin located on the grassy knoll, but missed. What? Yeah, official history says, yeah, Oswald most likely didn't act alone. There was probably a 4th shooter, a second shooter, who fired another shot somewhere on the grassy knoll. Yeah, that's just official history. It's always been that way. Guys, look. Everything I've ever heard, everyone I've ever argued with, the lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't know what else to say. I guess the only thing I want to ask is, what does your this is like a Mandela effect. Okay, this is like a complete. It's I'm not saying it is. I'm not, but that's what this is like. You have a certain understanding of history. You've heard that history come from 50 different places in 50 different directions over your entire lives. And then you come across something that just completely says, "Oh, nobody ever said that. Nobody ever said Oswald acted alone. Oh, the commission in 1976 said it was likely there was somebody else." Also came upon this attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, March 30th, 1981. Let's go down here. Assassination attempt. This is not the main part of what I want to mention, but it's worth noting. March 21st, 1981. I think that's 9 days before the assassination attempt. Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy visited Ford's Theater in Washington. I always knew it as Ford Theater. It's Ford's Theater. But he's in the place where Lincoln would be assassinated 9 days before. And Reagan says, "I looked up at the presidential box above the stage where Abe Lincoln had been sitting the night he was shot and felt a curious sensation. I thought that even with all the Secret Service protection we now had, it was probably still possible for someone who had enough determination to get close enough to the president to shoot him." Well, isn't that an interesting foreshadowing for what would happen 9 days later? But forget that. This is what's important. The shooting. 2:27 p.m., exited the hotel, blah, blah, blah. Here. Hinckley fired a Rome RG-14 22 LR blue steel revolver 6 times in 1.7 seconds. It's saying history, and this is Wikipedia, but this is in other places. The official story, no doubt, is 6 shots from a revolver in 1.7 seconds. Any gun aficionados out there thinking what I'm thinking? It's not possible. 6 shots in 1.7 seconds. The barrel has to turn. A revolver has a 5-pound or a 7-pound or a 10-pound trigger. Almost impossible, even for a circus-style expert or marksman, let alone some crazy nut that apparently was, trying to get close to Jodie Foster. Okay, that's impossible. That's the official story. But he missed the president with all 6 shots. Is that the history you remember? that did John Hinckley shoot the president? Most people would say yeah. He missed the president with all 6 shots. It's not my history. It's not what Greg remembers. We pay close attention to this. What does it say? It says the 5th bullet and 1st bullet, blah, blah, James Brady. And the 5th bullet hit the bullet-resistant glass window. The 6th and final bullet ricocheted off the armored side of the limousine and hit the president in the left underarm, grazing a rib and lodging under his lung, causing it to partially clap above. So he missed, but the 6th one ricocheted off the armored shell of the limousine. I'm no armor expert, but I know tanks are built that way, but when you armor a car, I thought the armor was inside the door, for example, not an impenetrable outer shell like a titanium turtle shell. I didn't think that's how they did it, but it deflected off. 2 reality breakdowns here for me. It's not possible to get off 6 shots by anybody, let alone someone like this, in 1.6 seconds, 1.7 seconds. And the fact that my reality tells me that he missed. He just missed. Anybody hear that? Why wouldn't we have heard that? This is leaving. I know it's leaving a lot of people confused. If these are new realities to you, I just can't. I figured this video might get out to certain people that don't run in the circles that we do. But I have to say, certain things. It's not as much a Mandela effect to me as much as there seems to be a rewriting of history. Or Greg and I talked about some of the stuff that we called conspiracy, almost like a normalization of it. Instead of somebody that's presenting the official story saying, you jerks always believed, you conspiracy jerks believe there was another gunman. We told you all along there was just Oswald. It's almost like now they're trying to normalize what we've been saying. They said, and then how they do that is they make you look like an asshole. Although somebody got on me for saying that word too much in the last video, so I'll try to tone it down. Just saying, yeah, of course, guys. Nobody ever teased you. Nobody ever called you names. We've always said, the official story has always said there probably was another shooter. The official story always was that Hinckley never shot Reagan. It was a deflection. He missed. And then we scratch our heads going, maybe we're crazy. Anyway, I don't think we're crazy. I think a lot of people are going to agree with the 3 major aspects or reality breakdowns in this video. One is the official story saying there was likely another shooter. Oswald wasn't alone. 2, 6 shots from a revolver where the barrel has to turn in 1.7 seconds. And you can't even squeeze your finger that fast. And the last one is he missed. He missed. He didn't hit Reagan. He missed. Oh, okay. I guess I'll just go hide my head, and I guess I was wrong, right? I guess this is the reality that they're presenting to us, and I don't know how they're doing this or what's going on here, guys, but I'm pretty sure that at least 2 out of these 3 elements, if not all 3, were not part of reality as it was presented to us. Okay, I pay attention to this pretty closely. I look forward to your comments.